Hello everybody and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Naomi, the second awakened Wind Marshal Cat. The reason I wanted to take a look at her is because I was going through my account. I've taken off all the runes off my units and threw runes back onto some of these units. Just again, going through units that probably haven't had new runes in a long time and giving them better runes than they've had before. Throwing out some bad old runes, changing out artifacts, just generally improving my account. I think it's nice to do this every once in a while. It makes your account feel fresh and it makes your account feel up to date, right? When you use a unit, you know that you're not going to get a unit that's been outdated, who has the same runes as when they first started the game. And I know I've done this with my Veramoss, and I've already had a comment on one of the other videos. It's like, man, what is your Veramoss's build? He hits pretty hard, and I'll do a video on him later. But I got to Naomi, and I was like, man, I remember how back in the day, there used to be a genuine debate of whether she was the first 2A you should do in the game, or if it was Crow, right? And this was under different circumstances than we had now, where Crow wasn't as accessible, and she was super accessible, and there's just the runes that they get, like, they didn't give you, like, this, I don't think that they gave you these, I mean, yeah, no, they didn't give you these runes early on that they give you now, like the Fatal Blade sets and all that. It was just, Naomi was a very easy option and a very effective option, right? I mean, when we do take a look at her kit, you'll see that, again, she's very easy to rune, and when you consider that Giants is going to be your first dungeon due to it being the most beneficial dungeon for you as a beginner, she has a high survivability rate. Her damage is super consistent because she has high damage on all of her skills. It's just like, it becomes a pretty easy option compared to Crow, where he doesn't have the type advantage she has, so he gets hit harder. His accuracy is not as high, again, due to the type advantage, and it's just, again, the accessibility problem, right? So I wanted to see if maybe that still holds up today. Well, Crow is probably a little bit more accessible since you get him for free from the challenge tab in Summoner's Way. Maybe it's just like due to her being easy to build and just the way you would build her, because the runes that you throw on her are completely different from what you would throw on Crow, is maybe she is still a good first 2A. I mean, obviously, Crow is still probably the best considering resource management and just how versatile he is compared to Naomi. But regardless, I would still like to go through her and have some fun with her. Maybe we could still talk about that during the video. But for now, let's go through this. And just a little bit of a warning, I might compare her to Crow as we're going through this, so keep that in mind. But let's start off with her leader skill, right? She increases the attack speed of ally monsters and guild content by 16%. That's not a bad leader skill. Skill 1 is called Energy Punch, where she attacks with a spinning punch and stuns the enemy for 1 turn with a 50% chance. This is a pretty decent skill 1. If you do make her your first 2A, heck, even if she's not your first 2A, you will use her in guild content. I mean, again, with the way you're going to build her, she is definitely a viable unit for guild content early on. And having that ability to stun an enemy, especially with a pretty decent chance, like 50%, it's not that bad, right? It's just like, you're going to use this quite often. And she's, like, I've seen her land it quite a few times. I mean, it's not super rare to see her land this, which this can come in clutch when you're talking about fighting in guild content. Like, when you're using her in guild content, don't think about, like even if, like, you can't place harmful effects yet and she's taking her turn, be like, okay, even if I'm not going to do the most amount of damage, who can I stun? Who can I crowd control? Who could I potentially prevent from taking their turn that's going to help me win, right? And it's a pretty nice skill 1, especially when you compare it to Crow skill 1, where Crow skill 1, I think it is defense break as well. So defense break is pretty good, but he also does dots, right? So defense break is really good. It's probably better, I guess, and depending at how you want to look at it. But the dots is not so great. But defense break is still good, but still pretty good skill 1. Let's move on to the next skill. Skill 2 is called Chain Attack, which launches 2 consecutive attacks on an enemy, leaving a branding effect for 2 turns with a 50% chance, and decreasing the enemy's attack bar by 25% with each attack, reusable every 3 turns when fully skilled up. Not when fully skilled up, it doesn't need to be fully skilled up. I don't know why, I'm so used to saying when fully skilled up. But this is a really good skill too. I mean, it's an amazing skill too. Leaving a branding effect for 2 turns, really nice, and that's on each attack. So you have 2 chances to land that branding effect with a 50% chance. And when you consider where you're going to use her, which is giants and the ice beasts when you first start out, and maybe a couple other places, but mainly those places, it's like she has a type advantage, so she has a higher chance to land it, especially when you consider Crow landing his branding, right? Again, like I said, we're going to be comparing the two, but she has more chances to land it because Crow has 1 attack and he has to land that on that 1 attack. She's going to have a higher chance to land it on 2 different attacks, so really nice. But even if you don't care about any of that, she does have enemies attack bar decrease, which you're going to want in Giants. And when you consider the team that you're going to bring her on, Veramos, Shannon, Bella Dion, her, and heck, you can even bring her and Crow, or Royd, or whomever you decide to bring, heck, even Bernard, if you want to think of a real beginner's team. It's just like Veramos decreases the attack bar, Shannon's 2A decreases the attack bar, Naomi decreases the attack bar. You're going to prevent the enemy from taking their turn. You're going to prevent the Giants boss from taking his turn, which you want to do, because I believe if the Giants boss does take his turn, he does have a chance to stun your team, and you don't want your team to be stunned. Obviously, you want to be able to take your turns and actually deal damage on your turns or do something, right? So, not bad. And you're talking about 50% total, right, if you land both. Alongside of branding, not bad at all. But what really makes her and her kit is her passive, right? Tiger's Appearance. The critical rate will be at 100% if the enemy has harmful effects. And just to make this clear, that means harmful effect, right? So even if you have 1 harmful effect, your crit rate is instantly 100%. Obviously, if the enemy doesn't have a harmful effect, then your crit rate is whatever it is in your stats. So if you have 15% critical rate and you didn't build her crit, that's exactly how much crit you'll have until they get harmful effects. But for the most part, for whatever team you do decide to bring, you're going to have harmful effects pretty much on the boss at all times, thus meaning that she's going to have 100% crit rate, thus meaning that you don't have to build her crit rate. So it allows you to focus on other stats like attack percent or HP percent or crit damage or defense or accuracy or whatever you decide that you want to build her on. But this is good for a couple reasons, right? Especially early on, this will allow you to get runes that you typically wouldn't throw on other units and throw it on her, and they would be far more effective on her. Think about this, right? You could throw her on Fatal Energy just off of this first part alone and go attack, crit damage, attack, and never have to worry about any crit rate in the substats. You could focus on attack percent and crit damage percent and then HP or defense, right? So if you get a rune that goes like a purple rune that's attack, crit damage, HP, right? In the substats, you wouldn't really throw that on Crow. I mean, you would if you had the stats to spare. Like if you're like, okay, he has like 90% crit rate, I could take that off and put this on. It'd make him tankier. It'd make him just as strong or whatever. It'd help with his survivability. It's like, well, that might be okay on him. You typically would want attack, crit rate, crit damage in his substats. While with Naomi, that would be the perfect rune, because she'd have the attack percent to deal more damage. She'd have the crit damage to deal more damage. And then she'd have the HP to make her tankier. With this passive, you can make her have high attack and be tanky at the same time. So it makes her that much more effective in places like Giants. Imagine having a damage dealer in Giants that just can't die because it has type advantage, super tanky, yet it still deals super high damage. Maybe not as high damage as Crow. I understand Crow's multiplier is much higher, especially when you read the second part of the skill. It says, the inflicted damage will be increased by 20% for each harmful effect granted on the enemy. And this is with every single attack on skill 1 and skill 2. So Crow does have like 50% of a damage multiplier on his skill 3. But I will argue this. That is only when he uses his skill 3. So if he uses his skill 1, he doesn't have that damage multiplier. And his skill 2 has a 20% like her. For her, this is consistent. She will always deal increased damage by 20% for each harmful effect on skill 1 and skill 2. So no matter how many times she attacks, no matter when she attacks, she will always have that 20% increased per harmful effect damage on every single skill, while Crow needs to use a specific skill. So while her damage is not as high as it will be at its peak, like if you use his skill 3 versus her skill 2 or whatever, his damage will be higher, yes, but when you're talking about over time, over multiple attacks, her damage is more consistent, right? But obviously, I'm reaching, right? I mean, kind of. It really depends on what you're looking for. I think when you consider tanky, hard hitter, possibly better survive. I mean, that's gonna fall in with tankiness. Tanky, hard hitter, consistent damage. She's not that bad of a pick, but I think it's more than just talk. How about we take a look at my stats? So here are her stats. Not super crazy. 15,000 bonus HP, which is really nice. I mean, I think with my Crow, I'm not even hitting 15,000 HP. Plus 2,214 attack. Bonus attack, which is really nice. 277 bonus defense, which is nothing. 13 bonus speed, which I don't really care about the speed, which is why it's so low. 15% crit rate, which I think that's the base crit rate, so I don't think I have any crit rate on her. And 198% crit rate, or crit damage, which it's like I almost hit 200%. If I could have hit 200%, that would have been insane. But her damage dealing potential is really high with this build. Plus, she has 25% accuracy, so she might land some stuff. Who knows? We'll see. But the chance for her, the opportunity for her to deal damage, the potential for her to deal tons of damage while taking very little damage in return is great. I mean, the fact is she has 25,000 bonus HP. How's my Crow built? Like, let me see. He doesn't have nearly as much HP. Obviously, he has less attack. He has more crit damage, though. He's built on, like, attack, crit damage, HP. But, Naomi is obviously built, like, her stats are just better. Better attack, better HP, worse defense, and slightly worse crit damage. But who knows? Maybe we see some good things out of her. So let's take a look at her runes. And we'll take a look at her artifacts. So she's on Fatal Energy. You could stick her on Rage Energy. I think like the runes that you would want her on is either Fatal or Rage, and then you could either go Energy or Focus, or maybe even Revenge. If you want it to go down that route, you could go Revenge, like Rage Revenge, and have that chance of Revenge proc and deal a good amount of damage, or even stun on that skill 1, because that skill 1 can be pretty deadly, and especially in like PvP to just stun an enemy. But Fatal Energy, you can just stick her on this, and you never really have to change her. We could try a different video with her on Rage, but here are her runes. I would like to switch out that speed. I need to go farm some more Fatal gems, but this is what it's on right now. So it could have rolled higher, but HP, defense, crit damage, accuracy, all these are substats that she would want. Plus innate attack, that's nice. HP, attack, flat HP, crit damage. With slot 3, since you can't put attack percent, I'd say get you Fatal Rune on slot 3 that has high crit damage rolls, right? This one rolled pretty decent, so I kept it. Obviously, you want crit damage in slot 4. HP, attack, defense, and accuracy are, I think, the best ones. Her HP could have been higher. Heck, I don't think I had it, though. No. Here, HP, crit damage, and then attack percent and attack. Really good. You could, if you wanted to sacrifice that 38 attack for more accuracy, that would not be a bad idea at all. In fact, could we do that? No. But, not bad again. And then this one, same deal. Flat attack, crit damage percent, flat HP, and then HP percent with some innate speed. So, pretty good, pretty decent runes, right? And very easy to obtain, because it's like, you look at these runes, it's like who you're going to throw HP, defense, crit damage, accuracy on. Because you could tell I didn't re-roll it. I didn't gem out anything. So it's just like, you wouldn't throw this on Crow, you wouldn't throw this on any other damage dealer. So the fact that she's using runes that you typically wouldn't give other damage dealers, I think it's nice. But here are her artifacts. Damage dealt on water will increase. Crit damage as the enemy has more max HP, or more HP, 16%. Additional damage by her HP, which she has a good amount. And then damage taken from water decreases. So this is the perfect artifact for her. This one is additional damage by defense, which she doesn't really have a lot of. Own turn, one target crit damage plus 6%. crit damage as the enemy's HP is more, max 10%, and then skill 2 accuracy, which helps her land branding and attack bar reduction. So she could do a lot right now. So why not take her into Giants? Let's go to Giants. Let's not waste no more time. Okay, so here we are in Giants Keep Abyss Hard. You do have a Kamimir in the first slot where he increases the attack speed, plus he dishes out a good amount of damage. This is what he looks like right here. I'm pretty happy with this Kamimir. We could talk about him in a different video, but he's gonna decrease the attack bar of the enemy on skill 2, as well as dealing enemies max HP damage. Skill 3 attacks all enemies 2 times, disturb HP recovery, and increase damage per harmful effect on the enemy. He deals a good amount of damage, plus good crowd control, especially on Despair. Here's Veramos. Wow, I thought my Veramos deals a good amount of damage. We were using him in the other video. I didn't know his stats were that low, like attack percent. Huh. But crowd control, skill 2, enemies max HP damage, cleansing, healing, you know, the works, the wakes. We have Shannon, which we're going to use Shannon, and we're going to use Harazvilg next. Shannon is a really good unit. She's our buffer, speed, HP on Despair Fight, which is really nice. And then here are her artifacts. Obviously, I showed you Naomi, and then we have Bella Dion. He's here for the defense breaks, the stripping, HP recovery, plus attack bar increase. Also has fight runes. So let's not waste any time. Let's go into here. One thing you'll notice about this team is there's amazing crowd control. Both Ifrits and Shannon have amazing crowd control. Like, look at this. I mean, they died, but still, typically, they would do that, right? They'd stun and all that. She should either decrease attack bar or she's just slow. But she has, oh, another thing is Naomi has high resistance. So she's doing a good amount. She's either doing anywhere from 15 to 20 to even 30k depending. I mean, even just off of one harmful effect, and it doesn't even have to be defense break, she's almost dealing like 10k. That one was 32,000. So I want to do this. Boom, boom. Let's see her skill 2's damage. 27. So she did, what was that? No, that's 64,000, I think. No, that's 57,000. My bad. Or 54,000. Math difficult. No, I think that's 54,000. We could do another run just to make sure we get the proper speed, but this would be a beginner's team, right? That you could use, because a Kamimir you get from the guild shop. So that was a minute 24, but I think that's because I paused it, or that I stopped it. But let's do another run. So a Kamimir you get from guild shop. Veramos, obviously you fuse. Shannon they give you for free off of the challenge tab for looking at the strategy info. Bella Dion you get from secret dungeon, and then Naomi you can actually get from arena shop. 52k on skill 2, by the way. I saw that. So not too many debuffs yet. So her Achilles heel is that if she doesn't have, like, the enemy doesn't have any debuffs, that she just doesn't deal damage. Right? So your units do need to land their stuff. But when they do, and your units will land it, she can get out some pretty good damage. Like, boom. Like, that was easily almost, no, that easily was over 30k. And when you're talking about this is every single attack that she's getting a good amount of damage on, like, that was 9k, and that was no defense breaks, and we're still not landing defense breaks. And she's actually more well off than any of the other units. I mean, you see how much she took? That was like 46k. Yeah, she's tanking pretty well. I mean, she's doing more damage than a Kamimir. 48 right there. But when you think of Crow, I guess Crow would be more endgame type of a unit. Not like endgame in the way where it's like you can't use them early on, but it's like when you're looking for speed teams, you're not using Naomi in speed teams, you're using Crow in speed teams. How did they do worse? But because Crow would be able to dish out like 124k depending on the thing. But Naomi's still a very safe option. We're gonna throw Harazvelg in here. Harazvelg is a little bit different from Naomi. While he's not as safe in the sense that he's not placing a defense buff, he's placing a speed buff and an attack buff, and he himself has branding and can dish out a really good amount of damage. So this is almost a full damage team. We could throw in a different unit for defense breaks if we wanted to, instead of Bella Dion, but we'll try this. So, boom. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. Naomi is a nice beginner unit, but like once you want to start speeding up your teams like a lot, then you turn to Crow, which is why, like, in the beginning, like back in the day, yeah, Naomi would probably be better in terms of 2A because it's like easily accessible, rune requirements are low, but once you want to start speeding things up by a lot, it's like you want Crow. Like, look at that. They're not doing bad at all. And then glancing. .45, skill 1. And again, she could take a hit. So, that was still like a minute 20, wasn't it? A minute 2. So I was way off. A minute 2 is not bad at all. Let's see if we could switch out one more unit. Okay, so we're going to throw in Prillia. Prillia is a bit unique in the sense that she has defense breaks on every single skill, and her last skill is actually really good for Giants. It's really, she's used on speed teams, where the decreased defense effect is guaranteed to be granted on the target that is immune to stun, which the Giants boss is immune to stun. So, skill 3, if she does enter with it, will defense break an enemy. But the fact of the matter is, she defense breaks on every single skill, so you get good wave clears. And when you get to the boss stage, you can expect just to be able to, if you have the proper team, to just nuke down the boss with Prillia. Again, we're going to make a different video with her, but look at that. Pretty consistent. But depending on how your units want to act, you can have a much slower run. Not that this is slow. Boom. There we go. Everything's kind of going to plan. Ooh, nice. And then this next turn should be the end all be all with this. Boom. Yeah, that was pretty good. And Naomi did her part. Whew, that almost beat mine. Yeah, imagine if we had Crow in here. Crow would have. Let's take her into the Ice Beast. So here we are in the Ice Beast. We might do a run or two, but this is the team that we're using. Harazvelg in the front. Harazvelg, believe it or not, will be able to live quite a bit. Bella Dion will boost the attack bar and heal everybody, thus making this a bit safer. We have attack speed lead from Akamamir, which probably makes this safer for us because you want to be as fast as possible in this specific beast. We have our twins that, little sneak peek, look at my twins. My twins kind of, they kind of got a couple biceps on them. Look at her, man, they're strong. Let's get in this. Oh man, they're strong. They're a little bit strong. So, typically, in a perfect world, Harazvelg resentment, and then they start going in. But since she has attribute advantage, she could pretty much deal 30. You saw she dealt 34k there. And then here she places branding. It's just her damage is consistent. It's good. It makes her tanky. Heck, if I wanted to make this probably even safer, I could throw Harazvelg in the back and throw Naomi in the front, since Naomi is far more tankier than Harazvelg. So if you think about it, if you wanted to, because in a normal team you would probably have like Harazvelg, Iragar, like we could I'll show you what I mean, but you would have like Iragar in the back on speed crit damage attack or something, with Horazvelg in the back as well, and then 2 twins. Naomi could be in the front and tank alongside Bella Dion, and you'd be just fine. So we could try that in a second. Oh, come on. Twins are frozen. But that don't matter, because we beat the beast. And we got a good amount of damage, too. 1 minute 2. 6 million damage. Let's try something else. Like, let's just try the team I was talking about a second ago. Ooh, not bad. So, what we'll do is we'll do this. Boom. My Argar is actually built tanky, but he's pretty fast. An issue that might pop up, and I've noticed this. Gosh, I remember this, is that... No, let's take out Horazvelg. There's an issue with Horazvelg and Argar. They don't like each other. Something about sleeping with another one's girlfriend. But yeah, they don't like to buff the team. They argue too much. No, it's just because they both have an attack buff, and I think the AI just messes up. Oh, you'll use the attack buff. Oh no, you'll use the attack buff. Or no one uses the attack buff, you know? It's cool. I mean, totally not trying to beat the freaking dungeon, you fool. Boom. Okay, Yen. Girl. This is why we can't have her in videos, because she tries to be the star every single time. Look at her, taking the spotlight, as always. Jesus Christ. I can't take her out anywhere. She's always showing off, man. Like, for real. Like, look at this. Look at this. You can't take her anywhere. I mean, I know I got her the skin. I got her that new Gucci purse. Come on. I got her the new Gucci purse, and now she's trying to thank me by proccing so many turns. It's embarrassing, man. Stop. I'm sorry. That's cringe. I'm sorry. Let's try this again. Oh, sorry. We're going to take you out, Yen. I'm so sorry. What we'll do is we'll just throw in Abigail. How about that? Abigail can do a good amount of damage. Alright. Argar, please. Skill 1. Or skill 3. Oh, my bad luck. She would have probably used skill 1. Or he would have used skill 1. Boom. There we go. That is a proper takedown. Boop. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. By the way, my Abigail is on like speed crit damage attack, I think. So, she's not going to get the most amount of damage, but... Yeah, you want one unit. Yen is looking at me right now. She's like, you know, I would have killed the boss by now. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know. But it's not your spotlight. Stop trying to make it your spotlight. Does she die? She don't. 28k skill 1. And remember, like, she's not... Like, her chances to crit are very, 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 very low. So she's doing a good job. She's a frontline tank that deals tons of damage. I think you get the point. How about, let's just go back. Let's go back to the monster box and talk a little bit more about her. Okay, so Naomi. Is she still first 2A material? No. I mean, no, not really. I mean, you could. If you make her your first 2A, she's not a bad choice. She's good in Giant. She's good in Ice Beast. Right? But, when you're just talking about the sheer versatility of Crow versus her, it's just you're going to want to pick Crow, right? But that doesn't mean she's not a unit worth 2Aing. As you could see just from this alone, I mean, she was taking the least amount of damage in all these dungeons, and she was dealing a good amount of damage. She was dealing a consistent amount of damage, and heck, in even the Ice Beast, she was the frontline tank. Her rune, like the amount of runes, like the runes that she does need, is going to be runes that you're going to have sitting around, right? I mean, even if I were to go through my rage runes, like if I could sit here and go through rage runes, and go on attack percent, right? No. It's just like crit rate. This one like could go on her, right? Attack percent has innate crit damage, and she would benefit off of all these stats, right? You look at these right here. You could take out the crit rate, but let's see. This would benefit her. I mean, this could benefit her as well. Probably keep on like crit, on energy. It's just like her stat requirements aren't as bad, right? Like this, you would throw this on her. So it's just like she's not as stat hungry as a lot of damage dealers, in the sense that with other damage dealers, you worry about crit rate. You don't have to worry about crit rate for her. She deals a good amount of damage. She could take a good amount of damage. And her skills, even alone, are pretty good. Skill 1 stun, skill 2 branding and attack bar reduction. Really good. I don't know. I think she's a really good unit. But she's not your first 2A. And do you have to 2A her? No. But I still think she's definitely worth 2A. But I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about her. Would you 2A her? Have you 2A'd her? And if so, what have you built her on? Who knows? Maybe I might make a rage energy or whatever, a rage focus video. But until then, until that video does come out, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Tell me what you think about her in the comments.